Sveiki.
Sveiki visi. Labai malonu matyti
Sveiki.
besirenkančius žmonės. Kai jau tokia pirmoji banga prieimimo praeis, tai mes iškart pradėsime. Minutės bėgė. Dėkui už kantrybę. Pirmoji banga praėjo, tai noriu padėkoti visiems susirinkusiems. I will also say that this our meeting will be in English. However, while people are still connecting, I will say a few things in Lithuanian. Taip, ruošdamas čia mūsų yra standartinės skaidrės. Ilgai galvojau, ar čia palikti tą savo nuotrauką, nes šiaip norėtųsi kaip ir tą visą komandą įdėti. Tai pagalvojau taip, jeigu kažkas bus ne taip, tai va žinokit, va veidas, kurį reikia atsiminti, tai aš Romanas Zantovičius, vadas AI Hubo, inovacijų agentūrai, bet mūsų komanda, kuri kūrė šitą smėliadėžę, yra daug didesnė, dar neturim tokios nuotraukos, ją prižadu pasidalinsiu po projekto, po 3 metų, arba tiesiog kažkada vėliau. Tai visų pirma, tai mūsų ta artimoji komanda šitą sandboxą labiausiai tiesiog dirbo, mes esam tik tai 5. Jūs žinot, kas jūs esat, ir jūs su visais jais turėsite galimybę, kai kurie jūsų turės galimybę ir plačiau susipažinti. Taip pat turim agentūros komandą, kuri padėjo mums kurti daug dokumentų, peržiūrėti ir savo patarimais. Tai čia yra kelios dešimtis žmonių, kurie prisidėjo. Tada mes turim savo partnerius čia ir jie šiandien yra pasijungę. Mūsų partneriai yra RRT, jie taip pat šiandieną kalbės po manęs, šiek tiek vėliau taip pat papasakos, kas savo dalį. Tarėmės per paskutinius pusmetį, gal net kokius 9 mėnesius, tarėmės labai daug su rinkos ekspertais. Jūs taip pat žinot, kas jūs esate ir matau jau jūs irgi čia prisijungusius šiame susitikime. Tai tikrai viską, ką jūs šiandieną pamatysite, tai nėra tiesiog kelių žmonių darbas, bet čia tiesiog yra mūsų bendras, sakyčiau taip, ekosistemos vaisius. Tai tiek universitetam didelė padėka, tiek atskiriam, tiek verslui, tiek asociacijom. Ir visai, kaip sakė,
Romanai, nebegirdime tavęs. Romanai, aš atsiprašau.
Sorry, kur pabėgau?
Dabar, grįžk. Aš čia, žinokit, kalta, nes kažkas tai buvo su mikrofonu užmutinau, žinokit. Ir tave užmutinau, tai.
Ačiū, Aurelija, aš įsirašysiu į priedų sąrašą.
Kalėdom.
Ar pradėti reikia viską nuo pradžių, ar čia tik nuo tų garsų? Pažiūrėkit visi mikrofonus, žinot, taigi 3 metai COVID praėjo, ne, vis tiek iš kažkiek žmonių gaunasi. Tai atidžiai pažiūrėkit mikrofonus tiesiog. Alright, so if you were afraid that we're never going to switch to English, we are switching now. Well, because AI is such a thing, it's very hard to create an AI product in just Lithuanian. So our whole sandbox will be in English, so that's why we're making this. 'This event in English as well. But you can ask us in Lithuania once you contact us, of course. You know, the first question any business should ask themselves once they hear about new regulation is my business affected? Very normal question, because maybe it's not. So, as you know, EU AI Act kicked in 2024. And yeah, it raised many questions, whether this does apply to me or not. So I'll briefly answer those concerns. So if you're the provider, if you are the developer of, or you are creating an AI system, yes, you are affected. Čia turime omeny provider, turime omeny kūrėjas. Jeigu jūs kūrėte dirbtinio intelekto sistemą, šitas aktas yra, jums reikia atkreipti dėmesį. Importer, self-explanatory, distributor, deployer. Deployer, if you're using an AI system for professional or commercial activities. Deployer yra diegėjas. Paprasčiau suprasti, kas yra diegėjas, tai tada, kada tu perki kažkieno kito providerio, kūrėjo sukurtą sistemą. Ne? Jeigu diegiate dirbtinio intelekto sprendimą savo veikloje arba naudojate, you're also affected, you need to pay attention. Product manufacturer, if you're manufacturing products and if you plan to put the AI systems into your existing products, this act, EU AI Act, is also for you. Then, also an important question, who is not affected by this new regulation? So anytime you use an AI system, AI product, for personal or non-professional use, it doesn't apply to you. Military, defense, national security purposes, same thing. You know, governments need to keep us safe. So they can do pretty much anything they need to do to do it. It's an išimtis, exclusion. Yeah. Anytime AI system is in the development phase, or in other words, anytime AI system is not on the market. Tai bet kuriuo momentu, kai dirbtinio intelekto sistema yra kūrimo stadijoje, kai jinai yra nevieša, nepasiekiama, neišleista į rinką, nesvarbu ar tai mokamas produktas ar nemokamas, kol tai yra kuriama, tol dirbtinio intelekto aktas negalioja, kurti galima absoliučiai viską. Then, you know, I was also debating yesterday whether I should start you how beautiful and nice our program is, and tell you all the, you know, bells and whistles that we put into the program and how we're going to help you. But I decided to start with like qualifying questions and with the qualifying terms. So before that, I want to say that our sandbox has two sides. Officially, this might be surprising for some of you, the sandbox has already launched. The public sandbox has launched last year during Startup Fair on October 9th. Today, the focus is about the sandbox program. So public sandbox is for everybody. I'll talk briefly about it. You can contact us with any questions anytime you want. You don't need to apply. There's no selection process. For the sandbox program, and this is what the meeting is about, there is a selection criteria. You need to apply, you need to be selected as it goes with the accelerators, for example. So the most important things here are you need to be small enterprise or medium size enterprise. Yeah, kaip, nu, lietuviškai. Mikro, mažos, labai mažos, arba vidutinės įmonės. Well, you have a description. What does it mean in Lithuania, small or medium enterprise? So that's one thing. If you are not one of those, we we legally cannot accept you into the sandbox. The second most important thing is your product, the product that your company is developing and that you are developing, it has to fall into one of those two categories or both, if you're not sure. So it must be a high-risk product, high-risk category, and high-risk according to EU AI Act, or limited risk. So those two things are very important. And the third thing is it cannot fall into an unacceptable risk category. If you're not familiar with that, it's fine. We're going to go, and I'm going to give you some examples of what are those categories. What is high risk? What is limited risk? What is an acceptable risk? We'll do that a little bit later. But these are the main things that you need to comply with in order to apply in the sandbox. We'll also put some other questions which will help us, to pick the best 10, 12 companies for the first batch. So we're very interested what kind of innovation you're creating, whether this is company level innovation, or whether this is regional level innovation or global level, worldwide innovation that you're working on. We're also interested in the use cases of the product that you're creating, in the potential market size, in your potential customers or industry sectors. We want to know where are you, what's your technology readiness level is. Are you working still on the prototype, or maybe you have a prototype, or maybe you're already ready to launch it in the market, but just are not sure, about the regulation. We also want to make sure that you have, to start with, that you have the human and financial resources to ever put the product on the market, that it's not just a hypothetical product that you're working on. And I say most important, we want to get the answer whether you will apply the knowledge that you get in the sandbox into your product, because that's the whole point of participating. So you can look through those questions as well, but this is what you should suspect in the application. It's very simple. We currently have it in Lithuanian. However, we're in AI age, so it's easily translated into English. And next week we'll have an English version as well. As promised, I'll briefly go over what's an acceptable risk, minimal, limited, and high risk. So this is exactly how EU AI Act looks at the AI system. It's a risk-based approach. We'll start from unacceptable solutions meant for social scoring, AI-based manipulation methods that exploit the vulnerabilities of specific groups. It's all unaccepted or prohibited. Real-time biometric identification solutions in public spaces without reasonable cause. It's a no-no in EU. Individual criminal offense risk assessment or prediction tools. Great movie on that, Minority Report. The ones who remember it probably agree that it's more relevant today than it was 20 years ago when it was released by Hollywood. All right, and last but not least, emotional recognition in the workplace and or education institutions. We decided not to do that here in Europe. So that's unacceptable risk systems. High-risk systems, anything that has to do with our critical infrastructure, AI solutions and the power plant control systems, in how the way water is delivered, roads. traffic signs, potentially self-driving cars, elevators, aviation, anything that has to do with critical infrastructure, automatically a high-risk AI system. HR tools, scoring students' exams, fintech tools, scoring who's going to get a loan or not, and who's going to be rejected. That's a high risk according to EU AI Act. AI systems used in the healthcare, right? Biometric identification systems. The most important thing here is the high-risk system. Most important thing to know, the high-risk system, it will have to be certified by a third party. You won't be able to just release it in EU market without a certificate. Or in some cases, certificate is not needed, but then you need to still comply with the standards. So yeah, certification or self-conformity is needed. Then we have limited risk. Vidutinės rizikos sistemos, or sometimes it's called transparency requirement, skaidrumo reikalavimų rizikų zona. Chatbots that serve customers in real time, image, video, text generation, voice cloning applications. Very briefly, anytime the human is communicating, interacting with the machine, it needs to know that it's interacted with the machine. Or if something is created by the computer, by AI, it needs to be labeled, and the person needs to understand that it's made by not by a human being. Minimal risk, spam filters, content recommendation, games. Those are the examples. They're just recommendations. There are no fines, no regulation for minimal risk. So if I go here, you already understand that we can help only limited risk and only high risk systems, those creators, those companies, and you can't be in the unacceptable risk, then the sandbox is for you. So now quickly, what does it consist of, and how does it look? It's a 3-year project. We're gonna have 5 batches, 5 cohorts. Each cohort is 5 months long. 10, 12 companies in one cohort. So total of maximum is 60, from 50 to 60 in 3 years. And today is the day when we start accepting the applications. They will be there for at least a month. So you can visit our website. It's here on the bottom, and this is where you see how to apply. The first cohort starts at the last day of Q1. It's March 31st. And what's the price? If you were wondering, drums. So it's free. It's free. You pay with the de minimis, 30,000 or between 30 and 36,000. If you are familiar with de minimis, you'll probably see that this is not much. And if you're not familiar with de minimis, that means you have 300,000 of them. And just Google it or ask the person responsible for this in your company, and you'll find out that you have quite a lot of them to spend. Again, yeah, take a screenshot, or oh shoot, I never extended the screen and nobody told me. Yeah, look at our website, AI-sandbox, Inovacijų agentūra LT, for all latest news. So what's the company journey once you get in the sandbox? How it's going to look like? Well, you apply. You can do it. You can do it now, right after the event. We're going to select from 10 to 12 companies for the first batch. And we'll start March 31st, and there will be a 10, 11 week in-person group consultations in Vilnius. We call it AI Academy. So once a week, maybe in a few cases we'll meet twice a week, but mostly once a week we'll meet for full day, at least for 4 hours, to discuss one of the topics that we have in the academy. And after those 10 or 11 weeks, you'll have individual consultations with the experts who work in our sandbox. And that will be up to 10 experts that deliver their 10 topics. And I'm going to talk about them in the next slide. And those consultations will last for 3.5 months, and they're tailored just for your case, right? That's the reason. Whatever cool or good things you may expect in our sandbox. HPC hours. So we imagine that most of the companies that will come to the sandbox, they'll already use the HPC to create whatever they're creating. But in cases where they need to apply the feedback and to get more HPC hours, we'll be able to provide it to a certain amount of companies, for like six companies. So it's like an insurance policy. It's not for everybody, but it's for the ones who really, really need it, and it's up to our experts to decide. Second thing is we call it cyber audits, and that's for everybody who is selected, who is participating in the sandbox. And to say it briefly, it's basically various levels of penetration tests for your AI system, because no matter how good the product you are creating, if it's not secure, it is vulnerable, right? So we'll provide that. We'll write up a plan for everybody individually, and we'll have the menu that you could choose from, and we'll try to our experts will try to break your systems, and provide you with the feedback and show those vulnerabilities. And then the third thing, quite important, I mentioned before, for the high risk systems, the certification is needed. You cannot launch that product without a certificate. However, there is sort of a loophole. I don't like that word, but there is a loophole. You can, if you get a regulator's permission, there is a system how you can test that your product without certification, and it's up to 6 months. And after 6 months, you can add another 6 months. But we have representatives from RRT, Ryšių reguliavimo tarnyba, and they will tell you briefly about that. You know, I'm also leaving there are some other cool things that we plan to do. It involves networking events. It involves offsites, at least one per cohort. But let's talk mostly business here, and just so you know that there is sort of fun here as well that we planned for you, and let's keep it a little secret for now. So okay, 5 months go by, and you're provided with the exit report if you attend all the sessions, and if you take advantage of our sandbox. If you talk to the experts, you get all 10 signatures, 10th being from the regulator, from RRT. We're very happy to have them in this project as a partner. And yeah, you'll be the graduate of the sandbox. You can go to potential investors, and show them that you really care about the safety of your product. You really care about complying to the AI-EU Act, and that you're ready to go certify your product in the market. you're ready to go to those conformity assessment bodies, which will be certifying your products, if it needs certification. I'll go back briefly. The reason we made this sandbox not just for high risk, because during the process, during the first cohort, during the program, it could be that you'll see that, well, it's too hard for me to do the high risk system, and you might switch to this lower level of risk to the medium risk, and vice versa. Maybe you're thinking now of just making transparency requirements, but then you find out that, hey, you're actually a high risk, so we want to keep you in the program, and that's why we selected those two categories. Now about the topics. So I mentioned that in the 10-11 week program, we'll have 10 modules. So here are just the names: EU AI Act compliance, ethics, fairness, AI policy development, AI literacy and strategy, data privacy and protection, cybersecurity and adversarial attack prevention. We'll have modules about EU AI standards. They're currently still under constructions. They are sort of late. However, in the next few months, we plan to get drafts and at least tell you how they're going to look like. Then intellectual property and AI, risk management systems. We're going to also talk about various EU tools for AI development that are also currently being developed in Europe, AI factories, technology experimentation centers. Some of them will be free, some of them are paid. But you'll make sure, if you're in the sandbox, that you will know about all those tools. And I mentioned earlier, we're proud and happy to have regulator in our sandbox. So one module will be theirs, and Ernesto will tell you briefly about it. I'm sure that some of you were wondering, so how do I know that I'm unacceptable risk, or I'm high risk, or I'm medium risk? So I'll tell you a little secret here. We almost developed our own tool. We're in the final stages of developing it. However, EU AI office heard us, and they made an official AI Act Service Desk tool. It's called EU AI Act Compliance Checker. It's right here. That you could go at any time you want and answer all the questions that are being asked and found out which risk category do you fall into. And it could be a bit overwhelming at the time. So if you're not sure, I'll give you the contacts. We're here to help. Contact us, and we'll help you to determine whether you are or not. So, as I mentioned in the very beginning, there are like two sides of Sandbox. Public Sandbox has launched last year. We're accepting your questions, currently just over email, and I'll provide it in the next slide. If you have any questions regarding regulation, and we received quite a few of them already, shoot us a note, and none of them will get unanswered. They all are logged into CRM, and eventually we'll do the best job to respond it if we have an answer, or if Europe has an answer. There will be thematic public events. That's for everybody. That's for companies in the sandbox and as well as outside of sandbox. Thematic public events will provide news on AI ecosystem on our website as well. The focus is on regulations. We'll have case studies and success stories once we have them. And we'll have plenty of networking opportunities during the next 3 years. So, stay in touch on on social media, on the website. If you are willing to know, we will help. Now, group and individual consultations, those are just for selected companies. And yeah, the goal is to help you launch in the market. But before, some of you will need to go through the certification process. So we're here to help with that process. HPC resources, I mentioned, cyber audits, product validation in the market before the certification. And as a result, well, you could say it's a faster product launch. Not 100% true. You know, big companies, they have their own experts. They have resources. They hire their own lawyers. They hire their own experts at the time when they need. So it could be that they will go faster, but this is faster way for the smaller companies, for small and medium businesses who don't have those resources. We truly believe that will help them to launch, even faster. This is our email. This is our web. If you have a personal question for me, I'm happy to connect on LinkedIn. Please do. And that's how to reach us. I say we do this. I'd love to invite Ernesta now, and then we'll have at least 10-15 minutes for your questions. But again, I'll look at the chat, what's happening in the chat, and at any point you can just email us. The sandbox is officially open. Okay, thank you very much. I give the microphone to Ernesta now from Ryšių reguliavimo tarnyba. Thank you.
Hello everyone, and thank you, Romanas, for invitation and for opportunity to be here, and for invitation last year to join Sandbox. I am Ernesta from RRT, or Communications Regulatory Authority, and our authority is appointed as a market surveillance authority and single point of contact according to the Act. And I think today, the day of the launch, the Sandbox is really important step, and not only for the supervisory system, but also for the maturity of the entire innovation ecosystem, because there is a moment, where lawmaking, technological progress, and business practice come together, but not to confront one another, but learn from each other. So I would like to present our role, or role of RRT, but I think most importantly that to address the question that I think naturally arises for many of you, why it's worth participating in this progress in the Sandbox right now, even in the light of discussions at the European level regarding possible adjustments of AI Act. But I think it's very important to state clearly that Sandbox, is not a way to circumvent future legal obligation. On the contrary, maybe it's a structured and controlled environment that allows participants, first of all, to identify emerging risks, and especially on an early stage. Then practically understand how new legal requirements apply to concrete technological solutions, and maybe reduce future compliance costs. But in my personal opinion, I think perhaps most importantly, it helps avoid costly corrections. And corrections I'm talking about after a product has already entered the market. That's why early dialogue between regulators and developers, deployers, providers of a system, reduces legal uncertainty and strengthens trust in innovation. And, both from investor side and from user, from society. And talking about main activities of RRT within this project, Romanas mentioned a little bit, but first is related to consultation and knowledge sharing part, because we will provide both group and individual consultation to companies participating in the sandbox. And this include, guidance on classification of AI systems according risk level, as well governance, human oversight requirements, documentation, and if necessary, it's really necessary planning of testing in real world conditions. Second part related to the methodological support, we will have one module in Sandbox Academy. And also we will provide to the development of templates of real-world testing plan and for exit reports, because we sincerely believe that such documents, in the future may become a core element of demonstrating regulatory compliance. And final part, really important part related to supervision of testing in real-world conditions, because we will assess testing plan, adopt decision, to permit such testing, then whole supervise the testing process, and finally provide an expert opinion. And what does it mean? This means that businesses can test innovative solutions, with the regulators' knowledge, approvals, rather than, operating in uncertain, undefined, so-called regulatory gray zone. But at the same time, we really often hear the argument, that, okay, if the requirements are not yet mandatory, maybe perhaps it's better to wait. And, from a regulatory perspective, this view, I think, is understandable. But strategically, it's a risky approach, actually. And I have one illustrative example related to prohibited practice, because in real world, a boundary between high risk AI system and a prohibited practice is often very, very thin and not always obvious, to providers or deployers of AI system. And why? And where is the problem? Because assessment depends not only on technical characteristics of AI system, but also on context of use, the intended purpose, and final impact on individuals and fundamental human rights, actually. And I think it must be emphasized that, lack of awareness does not exempt from responsibility. That's why regulatory sandbox, I think, provides opportunity to identify these boundaries, in advance, together with regulator and before solutions are deployed on the market. And finally, I would like to mention three key points, talking about necessary to be here. That first, there are a lot of discussions, around so-called omnibus initiatives, but they are closely related timelines, transitional, adjustments, but core principles arising from AI, risk management, human oversight, transparency, traceability will remain, and the knowledge and experience gained in this in the sandbox will retain the relevance. So another part, I think, that early preparation constitutes a competitive advantage. That victory loves preparation. That's why companies that already really understand the risk profile of their systems, have appropriate documentation, have knowledge, experience with testing, I think will be in significantly stronger position when requirements become binding. And especially companies, for companies which operating in cross-border markets and or working with public sector. And finally, I really believe that sandbox, is a place, and maybe not place, but opportunity to shape practice. Why? Because it enables businesses not only to receive guidance, but also to contribute through feedbacks to the development of regulatory practice, because regulators are learning as well, and this yearly dialogue, leads to clearer guidance, more proportionate decisions, maybe, and generally better understanding. And in my opinion, regulation in itself, it's not obstacles. It's a tool to build trust in technology, and a greater public trust in these technologies, is a cornerstone, cornerstone for sustainable business, development. So I think sandbox is a safe space, not even place, but space to experiment, ask questions, test, and if necessary, correct, together with regulator. That's why really, for this reason, I invite you not to wait until the rules become, mandatory, but to take advantage of the opportunity and to prepare for them in advance. So thank you a lot.
Well, thank you, Ernesta. If I want to add one thing that I maybe missed, we're talking about regulations here a lot, which is scary and almost unattractive. But the companies who apply to the sandbox and who will be in the sandbox, I want to really stress the innovation side of it. You will talk with at least 10 different experts. Unfortunately, I can't provide the names just yet because we haven't signed the contracts with all of them. But I promise that most of them who are in the business, you'll see some familiar faces, and they will be the best that we could get here in Lithuania and in our region. So, besides regulation, those experts have years and years of experience working with innovative companies here in Lithuania and worldwide, and you will have a chance to pick their brains and get their knowledge even on your product side, not just the regulation side. So those are my 2 cents. I looked at some of the questions. So I would say let's not go over the individual cases. There was a question whether this is high risk or not. This is why we have a tool, and there are quite a few follow-up questions that we need to ask in order to determine. So unfortunately, we would not go through whether my tool is AI compliant or is in high risk or medium risk. However, you can do that yourself, or you can contact us, and we will help you get the answer. Are there any other questions? Start talking. I don't see any raised hands, but if you have, start talking, and then others will raise hands. Yes, Paulus.
Hello. Do you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. Thank you very much for Romanas and Nesta for this very clear explanation of the tool. And I have no question here, but I really like to encourage everybody who are here. It's almost 90%. I think most of you are somehow related to AI, or directly or not directly, indirectly. So if you are owner of some business, please try to use this tool. And if you are not an owner of business, but you know somebody, please share this information. Why I'm talking about it? Because we like to talk that EU is overregulated. We have a lot of laws, regulations, and so on. It's like complain, and that's mostly true. But sometimes when we have some tools, free tools, which led for more sensitive businesses to solve their issues, we do not use it. So I really like to ask you, because what's interesting, when we talk about successful sandbox, it's important to have good experts, good institutions. That's really important. But it's very important to have good businesses, because you will share information, experience, good practices, bad practices between each other, and you will have some network for it. So it's really good, especially for younger businesses or some business who go from non-AI to AI businesses, adding some layers and so on. So I'd really like to encourage you to use this tool as much as possible, exploit everything what you can. I know this way, how difficult this way was for institutions, for innovation agency, to make it happen, one of the first in Europe, and to have interesting topics, and I hope good, successful sandbox. And what is important, both Romanas and Ernesta mentioned, that is a possibility to discuss with the institutions. So you can buy services, legal services or something like that in the market. That's not a big problem. But if you like some interaction, some discussions with institutions, especially with controlling institutions, that's a really good channel to do that. So that's just my wishes to try to participate or involve these who can be interested. Thank you.
Thank you, Paulo. I don't see any raised hands, which means one of two things. So I want to encourage anybody who wants to say anything. Now it's a good time. If not, that's fine. That's a lot of information to digest. Maybe talk to your colleagues. Yes, Oleg. Yeah, Oleg.
Hello, good morning, all. Thank you for excellent presentation. Thank you for Ernesta, for Yeva, for Romanas. I have a question regarding the certification of dual-use technology, because we developed project like Lithuanian enterprise entity with Polish partners, and currently product that we provide is only achievable on Polish market, and also probably will be soon achievable in Lithuanian market. But it's for use only for governmental institutions and some military statutory companies. And I wanted to ask, as far as we have a solution that is dual use and works as security operation center with artificial intelligence LLM threat hunting that integrates into national networks, like in Lithuania we have SVDPT, saugus valstybės duomenų perdavimo tinklas, then to some TESTA networks, European Union. Do we need that type of certification or not? And do we need to participate in sandbox because we already have a product, we already have a clients, and we're thinking what type of certification we need to have, because hardware component certification we already made that with Lukasiewicz Institute in Poland. Then with ENISA made that certification of electronic components and software, and the last effort is probably to know, do we need Artificial Intelligence Act compliance, yes or not? Thank you.
Got it, Oleg. Thank you. Great question. The dual use part, this is what it means. So anything for national defense, police, military, it's an exclusion, right? That means EU AI Act does not apply. And anything that, if it will be determined that this is a high risk for the public use, well, that part needs to be certified. Yeah, Paulo, please, if you have to add anything.
I can add, as Roman's mentioned, everything what is for military purpose or national defense purpose that do not need to be certified. But if you talk about dual use, so some part can be used for civil use. So this part is, you need to comply. And when we talk about different national jurisdictions, and that's made in this way that you do not need to recertify in every single country. So, it's good to talk about specific cases in face-to-face meetings, but that was really good question because in principle all AI is dual purpose. So you can use ChatGPT for planning of military operations or something like that with some limitations. Yeah. But your case is really very specific. So I think it's more military. If it's military, it's defense. So it's done. So it's not under this AI Act. But this question, do we need or do we? So it's your choice. It's your choice. But I think that's very good support. That very good tool to clarify all open questions and maybe adjust your product to use for civil society, not just for military purposes at the same time, if it's possible.
So let's connect online, but outside of this meeting will be very interesting to have you as a case. If do I see another hand? Follow up? Sure, please. Yeah, Oleg.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. Thank you for presentation. It's second time I'm listening to you. My question is indirectly related to the presentation today because it was most targeted for the private companies or deployers, but I want to ask about the public sector. We have a lot of public procurement and tenders happening related to AI. And for example, just last year, it was like $1.5 million just for the different agents and assistants overall in total. And more than 10 millions for different, corpus, textile, etc. I hear that now public institutions start to frustrate because they are afraid to continue or to plan the procurement of the AI solutions because they don't know how to comply with all these acts. Will they comply? Are they allowed to do that, etc.? Do you have a set of recommended procurement documents or what need to be part of the procurement documents for the public institutions so they be more, motivated to go on with the AI adaptations? Thank you.
Sure. Thank you, Alexei, for the question. So the public, our sandbox is balanced and focused on the small and medium enterprises. However, you're absolutely right. We get many questions as one of the first sandboxes from the public institutions as well. So the public institutions, they will have their own chain of command and their own assistant process. And please look into VSSA, Valstybinė skaitmeninių sprendimų agentūra. They will, I cannot talk for them, but they will be assisting all public service, company or organizations. We're in good contact with them because they send us leads from the private sector, the ones that contact them with private sector, and we send them the leads from the public sector. So, yeah, help is coming. All right, guys. I don't know what to add. Yeah, it's I have a feeling that, we all gonna learn a lot, that our first batch could be very different from the fifth batch in 2028. And we really have a chance to grow, everybody, us, you, regulators, all the other institutions that are involved in this. Let's do this. I do thank you for attending this meeting. There will be a recording. You got the how to contact us. We'll be waiting for your questions. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.